Kakadosh, Boker Or, Bekiim Bahalacha, day 3. Yeah, page 17. Halacha Bet. Yeah, very interesting. Now we're going to bring this Mishnah. Yehuda ben Temeh Omer. What does that mean? You have to be bold like a leopard, right? Light as an eagle, swift as a deer, and powerful as a lion, and performing the will of your Father in heaven. These are the 4 basic aspects pertaining to serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. First on the list is bold as a leopard, az, a very important trait. Many times a person is inclined to perform mitzvot, but then he refrains because he's afraid that others will ridicule him, right, when he's going to do it. Therefore, the Tana instructs to adopt the trait of boldness. Pay no attention to taunt others. Some people, they do it for chutzpah. They're azim, right? So they're always the one that's going to, I'm going to be the one, right? But then they get shot down. You have to be careful. So therefore, here, he says that the trait is that a person has to just be careful and understand that it's do more mitzvot. Don't pay attention that people are going to make fun of you. That's the az. That's where you have to be the azut. Understood? Not azut metzach, but az digdusha. Digdusha means you're going to do mitzvot. This is parallel to the teaching of Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. May it be that you're going to, the fear of God, it will going to match the fear of the human beings. Remember that halvai shetiyeh, right? Yirat Hashem kemo yirat shamayim kemo yirat bnei adam basav adam. Sometimes people are ashamed to act incorrectly in view of others who might disapprove of them, but they're not ashamed to act incorrectly in Hashem's presence, although He disapproves of them. Therefore, we are going to be told to be bold and pay no attention to those who attempt to ridicule us for fulfilling Hashem's will. In conjunction with this, that's what David Elmaleh alav Shalom said in Tehillim Kuf Yutet Alphabet V'Dabara Be'edotecha Nege Melachim Ve'lo Evosh. I spoke in front of kings, and I was speaking about your statutes. I was speaking about your halachot, right? And I didn't feel ashamed. What does that mean? David Melech was, even though he was pursued by David Melech, by Shaul, who wished to kill him, he was forced to run away and everything, and he was in neighboring kings and everything. Even in that situation, he always continued his Torah study. Although the kings, they would ridicule him, like, what are you doing exactly? Although we must be bold in the presence of those who attempt to ridicule us for performing mitzvot, we must not brew conflict with others. Don't do machlokot with other people. The trait of boldness should not be part of our personality. Even when we use it in order to fulfill mitzvot, it is liable to find its way into our hearts and adversely affect us. Okay? Number 5. Okay, in the bottom, confronting the leaders of anti-religious groups. So by the way, this is going to be the Biur Halacha. The Biur Halacha says that the only time that you could use the boldness to fight is against people that are coming up against the Torah. Meaning, when you have people that are coming up against the Torah, you have to fight with all your might. And he brings down the pasuk tachlit sina senetim, right? Mamash, hatred. That somebody that comes, why was they're hating Hashem? So therefore, you have to be very, very, very careful. You understand? So the Mishnah, the bottom, it says Mishnah B'Ram Biur Halacha explained that the warning not to brew conflict with others over mitzvot only applies in the issue of one's personal fulfillment of mitzvot, while others are ridiculing. In such a case, don't pay attention. However, though, when someone faces a group of people who wish to influence other Jews to disobey Hashem's will, one must struggle against them with all one's might. I don't know why he says struggle against them. You should fight against them. I don't know what's struggling. With all one's might in an attempt to foil their wicked plans. Regarding such a situation, David Melech said, I act with hate towards those who hate you. Right? That's what I told you. Right? Oh God, I fight those who rise again up against you. I detest them with utmost hatred. I hate them with a hatred, a passion. Right? Why? Because they're going against Hashem. So the people that go against, if it's an individual, fine, let him laugh at me, let him do whatever he wants. But he's going against Hashem. Fight until the end. Yeah, next. The trait of being light as an eagle. The next one. Kal kanesher. What is kal kanesher? For your eyes. Our eyes can cover great distances instantly. Just as an eagle can fly at blinding speeds, we must train ourselves to refrain from looking at things that we should not see. Seeing things is the first step to many sins. Once you see something, your heart desires it, and then the rest of the body performs the sin. Okay? The trait of being powerful as a lion refers to one's heart. One must exercise great power and self-control to serve Hashem properly. The trait of being swift as a deer refers to one's legs. When there's a mitzvah to be performed, one should run it without delay. Meaning you have to run to do a mitzvah. Okay? Regarding the pasuk, running to do mitzvot. Regarding the pasuk, the Midrash says, relates that David Melech said, Master of the universe, every day I make plans to go to various places and to various people, but then my legs always bring me, right, to the Bet HaMidrash. I plan my pathways, but my legs always turn to your mitzvot. What is, by the way, this is actually based upon a Gemara. The Gemara says, "Machshava mu'ele l'divrei Torah." What does that mean? If a person has machshava, it's going to be vatel oto from divrei Torah. Says why? The reason why is because if I come in and say, you know what, I'm going to learn tomorrow all of Shas. What happens? The second that you say that, the Yetzer Hara is going to come and fight you. Why? He doesn't want you to do it. So he fights you. So what do you say? Tomorrow I'm going to the zoo. Yetzer Hara is going to fight you? To the zoo. Zoo, not Zoom. To the zoo. Yeah. So what happens? The Yetzer Hara, right, is not going to fight you. So then what happens? Then you come and you're able to learn, and the Yetzer Hara already is one step behind. Because you said that you're going to the zoo. Yeah? So therefore it's going to change everything. Okay? The Or HaChaim HaKadosh explained that David HaMelech really planned to tend his errands as a leader of his nation. But his legs always carried them elsewhere. Right? They had a mind of their own. This was due to his incredible inner desire to spend all his time learning Torah. If you go according to my statutes, meaning to go to the Torah, despite intending to go somewhere else. Abdallah Somach. Yeah, everyone heard of this? Rabbi Abdallah Somach. Remember that he was the one that wrote the Sivchet Tzedek. He was the rabbi of the Ben Ish Chai. Right, one of the rabbanim of the Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai also quoted others that were rabbanim also as well, like Rabbi Eliyahu Mani and others as well. He said in his commentary on the Agadah, he explained it in a different line. David HaMelech purposely would announce his intentions to tend to mundane affairs in order to weaken the Satan's resolve to find ways to dissuade him from learning Torah. Once the Satan relaxed his struggle, thinking that David HaMelech was going to do his royal affairs, then immediately went to the Bet Midrash and immersed in Torah studies. Okay, so that's the pshat that I just gave you. But I just gave you right now. Okay? David HaMelech prayed for assistance in perfecting these three traits. He said, train me to go on the path of your mitzvah, referring to his legs. In the following pasuk, he said, turn my heart to your statutes, meaning to apply all of his emotional strength into the mitzvot. Then he said, keep my eyes from seeing falsity. He used these terms since a person has the potential of controlling his heart, even after seeing a sinful or desirous thing. David HaMelech said, turn my heart, meaning assist me to keep my heart turned in the correct direction. A person cannot avoid seeing evil things. However, they might show up in his view unexpectedly. Therefore, David HaMelech prayed that even to prevent them like that. You know, there was many times, the big dolim, that it wasn't that they waited for that, but something all of a sudden just popped up in front of them. And so therefore they prayed for that. They didn't want that. Why? Because the first time is not the Avirah. The Avirah is to continue looking. You understand? Meaning somebody comes, he's walking, all of a sudden, boom, something comes in front. He wasn't walking on the beach, or he wasn't walking in a way where it's supposed to be like that. So what does he want? The fact that he was there and it came up, so the first time, okay, but did he continue looking? That's the problem. You understand? The problem is the continuing looking. Number 3, Halacha Gimel. A person should be very, very extremely important to rise from bed early enough to prepare himself properly for the prayers. That is, one must allow time to relieve oneself in the restroom right before going to the synagogue. Meaning you have to have enough time, right, for going to the washroom. So number 7 says the Mishabura gives specific instructions that one must get up at least half an hour before the waker, right, makes his rounds to call the people to the Bet Knesset so that one can make the necessary preparations. The Kuzov did not repeat this detail of the instructions, at least half of an hour, since in our times the restroom is located inside, adjacent to our bedrooms. Furthermore, we have running water available, so the necessary steps to prepare oneself is not more than a few minutes. Meaning, in the olden days, you had to go to a washroom outside of, like the washrooms were not in the house. You had to go outside. There was no water. Here, everything you have in the water. So therefore, you don't need to wake up, but even with that, it all depends. Many times you have to make sure that you go to the washroom beforehand. Sometimes, a person, you have to go, wait there. When they're in the washroom, that's when they get rid of all their bodily waste that they have to become clean to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The waker. What is the waker exactly? In many communities, a person was appointed to make rounds through the Jewish neighborhood, knocking on everyone's door or window to wake them up. Right? They were called the Veker. The Veker. The Veker is like a waker. So he says the author of the Mordechai cited his grandfather pointing out that this ancient practice stemming back at least from the time of the Moraim in the land of Israel. He cited evidence for the Talmud Yerushalmi that Rabbi Shmuel, son of Rabbi Yitzchak, went around knocking on the doors to bring people to the synagogue. In our times, this is no longer practiced, and this is probably because we have other means to wake up on time in the morning, such as alarm clocks, telephone wake-up service. The Sefer Tamei Minhagim relates that the community leaders in Petersburg once introduced a motion to stop this time-honored practice, arguing it was no longer necessary or practical. The Baron Hirsch Jaffe picked up the gravel and declared, if you dare to fire the waker, I will personally make the rounds and knock on everyone's door. So the motion was dismissed. Right? They dismissed the motion. No, they still had this waker. You were going around waking people up. Yeah? We should do that here in the Beit Knesset. No. The custom was to rap 3 times on each door, right? So 3 times in each door, twice in quick succession, and then a third single rap. Right? He says if someone had passed away during the night, he would rap only twice. And this was because each person had 3 partners in his making. Hashem provides his soul while his father and mother provide his body. When someone passes away, it means that Hashem has taken away back the soul. So leaving only the portion of the person that has the 2, which is the parents. At any rate, this signal announced to the people that there would be a levaya that day. In this way, no one had to announce the bad news verbally to others. Did you understand that? Incredible. They didn't want to give over the bad news. So the way they gave over the bad news was how they knocked on the door. I think it's incredible. Fine. Halacha number 4. A person must train himself to run, to perform mitzvot. He has to practice until this becomes second nature to him. Some people sleep late at night, and then they sleep late, into the morning. They take their time and run to the synagogue last moment. This running is not a display of zrizut. These people are running because they're so late until the last moment that they have to catch the minyan. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about running to do mitzvot. Is that it's not that you're late and you're running to do it. You're early and you're still running to do it. You understand? A person must not allow himself to indulge in sleep and other forms of relaxation more than necessary. He must train himself to run and fulfill mitzvot of praying and studying Torah. Even if he's very, very wealthy, he must not allow himself the comforts that are necessary. In the end, all his wealth is going to be left behind, and his sole possessions will be Torah and mitzvot, which are going to be eternal. Number 8, the importance of zrizut. By saying that one should be swift as a deer, the Tana alludes to us that we must not take pride in the fact that we run every day to Torah study or to pray, even if we've made these habits of daily lives. He must be like a deer who does not pride himself with his natural ability that he's always running. David HaMelech said, I hurried, right? Chashti v'lo itmamati, no? What was the saying up there? He doesn't bring them. No. Chashti v'lo itmamati, if I remember. That's okay. Okay. It says, I ran to perform mitzvot, not because I had tired until the very last moment. On the contrary, I ran even when there was plenty of time because I wanted to do mitzvot. Sometimes we see it in the Beit Knesset. Somebody running like crazy. They come inside the Beit Knesset, but they're late. That doesn't show zrizut. Zrizut means when they're early and they're still running. That's zrizut. No, he says, Shlomo Melech said, lazy one, go to an ant, right? Atzel, lech le'nemalah, watch its ways and grow wise. What does that mean? An ant needs no more than 1.5 kernels of wheat to supply with food for its lifetime. But the ants never cease to gather and store more and more wheat. This is their nature. In the same way, we are supposed to train ourselves to have the nature to run and to collect more and more mitzvot at every opportunity. Number 9, when we're talking about the entire concept of that a person, even if he's wealthy, he shouldn't do other things, but rather he should leave, because at the end of the day, he's not going to have anything else, right? So basically, that all the wealth positions and everything is going to stay behind. So he says, Rabbeinu Menachem Meiri, he declared, one must always take care, right, to study Torah regularly. He should rise before dawn on a daily basis, study Torah, rather than indulge in extra sleep. Even if he becomes wealthy, he must not allow to change his routine. In the end, his wealth will be left behind, right? But Torah and its rewards are eternal. We are certainly not greater, right, than David. He was the king of the nation, involved in many affairs of the government, but none of them swayed him. He continued to rise at midnight on a daily basis, and he studied Torah until daybreak, when he was forced to tend to his duties. His contemporaries must have remarked, if David keeps such a routine, even though he's a king, I certainly must do as much as well. Meaning, if David HaMelech is a king, and the king has millions of things what to do, so imagine what we're supposed to do. Unfortunately, some people see this, and they understand it, but take no practical measures to actually fulfill it. And therefore, fortunate are those who heed and try to emulate these great men, because obviously, you're going to be continuing with doing what David HaMelech alav Shalom